Hey everyone, welcome to the Daily for Thursday, March 21st. We're one day away from the U.S. national team's big matchup against Costa Rica in a World Cup qualifier at Dick's Sporting Goods Park outside of Denver, Colorado. Andrew, there's still the fallout from everything that took place in the Sporting News article that came out a couple of days ago. Everybody's still buzzing about that, and the national team on Wednesday afternoon finally addressed it. Michael Bradley with some very strong words about it all.
Yeah, shameful, disappointing, and embarrassment, all things that he listed when going over this article. He said he'd read it. I'm not sure how many other guys had. It seems like Herculez Gomez for one as well. But Michael Bradley bringing out the inner circle, that idea that we saw so often during the Bob Bradley era. And I think I agree with him. When you're in this situation, you have a goal to work forward to. You keep things in-house. This has become a massive distraction ahead of what is, as Jurgen Klinsmann said, a must-win game.
Yeah, except that Herculez Gomez actually coming out. He had some great comments, by the way, if you haven't seen him.
Not unexpected.
Herc comes out and he says this is teddy bears compared to what he's seen in Mexico in terms of criticism. He called all the criticism and everything around it cute, was one of the words he used. And one of the things I found interesting is he actually said this could bring them all together.
Yeah, it's, they always talked about this. When you talk about that inner circle, it's a challenge that we all work toward together. I think he's right, though. I think he talked about Brian Straus. This is an article that needs to be written. The U.S. soccer press needs to be asking these questions. Absolutely. And I think Herculez Gomez is right. If anything, this team should be strong enough to move past this, and it helps move them to a level where there is some concern from the fan base. You can see that a lot of people care, and it's magnifying in the press as well.
Yeah, that's the sort of progress in some ways that Herculez Gomez says that. Now, there was some news from the Costa Rican side as well. Alvaro Saborío, the Real Salt Lake forward, picking up a little bit of a knock on his knee during training. Odds are that Jairo Arrieta from the Columbus Crew will end up taking the starting spot if Saborío can't go. Either way, it's going to be a challenge for the U.S. center backs, and our man Corey Gibbs has a little more on the center backs for the U.S. national team.
Thanks, guys. It's fair to say that the center back pairing for the U.S. national team has been an area of concern lately. And now with Tim Howard out, we should expect Klinsmann to go with leadership and experience. However, my prediction is that Jeff Cameron and Omar Gonzalez will anchor the U.S. back line strictly because of their aerial dominance and one-on-one marking ability. This is going to be crucial for such a strong Costa Rican attacking side. But if Cameron gets called upon to fill in that right back position, it wouldn't surprise me to see Gonzalez paired up with Freddy Adu. We'll just have to wait and see what the Gaffer decides.
Thanks, Corey. Last bit of news coming out of the national team on Wednesday. Clint Dempsey, Tottenham Hotspur forward, has been named as the captain for the U.S. team in the absence of Carlos Bocanegra and Tim Howard and whoever else might have been the captain. Klinsmann naming him captain, what do you think?
I think it's a good move on his part. What it says to me is that there's not huge concerns about Dempsey's fitness and health. You don't name a guy captain, you don't expect to play a crucial role in both of these games, but I think he's ready to take on that mantle, that vocal mantle that, let's be honest, the captain has to have in situations like this where it's do or die.
Well, interestingly, Dempsey actually said himself that he's only 45 minutes fit for the Costa Rica game, so he's obviously going to get a start, but interesting choice that he may only be able to go for one half in this one. Let us know what you think about Dempsey being named captain or any of the U.S. national team stuff that's going on this week, or how the U.S. will do against Costa Rica. You can also hit us up on Twitter at Gagents, at Andrew_Wiebe. Moving on to some MLS news, and it looks like the deal that's been talked about the last couple of days of Freddy Adu joining Brazilian side Bahia in return for World Cup veteran Kléberson is just about to be done. We're expecting an announcement any minute now.
Yeah, this is one that had to happen for both Freddy Adu and the Union. Freddy Adu cannot afford to be sitting on the sidelines in the prime of his career. And on Philadelphia Union's side, if you're shooting for the playoffs, that huge chunk of change that Freddy Adu is learning cannot be sitting to the side as well. This is going to essentially be a straight swap from a salary point of view, but from a Union perspective, that's fine. You get some quality in the midfield. Kléberson, despite being 33, he's been on a team that was relegated in Brazil. He should add a good spark to that center midfield.
Well, head coach John Hackworth from the Philadelphia Union actually said he's been watching Kléberson for a while. They actually were looking at him before all of this Adu stuff happened. And Hackworth remembering that he watched him in the 2002 World Cup when he was chugging coffee.
Yeah, to stay awake. It's those late nights. You got to do it.
Well, staying with the Union, more news coming out of that with the Bakary Samari possible trade, and a word coming out of Chicago on this one.
Yeah, Samari doesn't want to be in the Freddy Adu situation. You look at what teams could need some center back help. Arne Friedrich being a guy that's in his last year and also has had some injury issues back in Germany to deal with those. This would be a big one for the Fire, but Frank Klopas said, look, it's no guarantee. I know he liked being here, but that salary cap issue is always going to be a concern.
Yeah, Frank Klopas saying there are many implications that would be involved in this. And one last little bit from the Philadelphia Union. This is like the Union segment here we're talking about. Former head coach Peter Novak has a new gig. He is the technical director for the Kirkwood Soccer Club, a youth program in Delaware. So good luck to him, and we wish him all the best. And for all those kids, not bad to have a former international, a two-time MLS Cup winner actually on the staff. And lots going on around MLSsoccer.com today. You can get the very first edition of Overlap Magazine, a new iPad digital magazine put out by MLSsoccer.com in partnership with Howler. There's a wonderful cover piece on Graham Zusi from Sporting KC. Make sure you go to iTunes or MLSsoccer.com to check that out. And Extra Time Radio podcast will be coming out. What do we got today?
Well, of course, we are going to dive in feet first into all this U.S. action. Probably talk about Freddy Adu a little bit, but I think the focus stays on the U.S. national team ahead of this huge game against Costa Rica.
And don't forget to check out the latest episode of the Starting Lineup. Get all of your fantasy news heading into the weekend of MLS action. That's it for the Daily. For Andrew, I'm Greg. We'll talk to you tomorrow.